Howdy everyone, Runt9 here, and welcome to Runt9 Looks at Beat Blast. Beat Blast is an action roguelike from Woolly Walrus Games. Came out about this time last year, but just hit its 1.0 release within the past few days, and I've got to say this is one of the most unique games that I've checked out in the, almost 2 years that I've been doing this. It manages to blend just your basic, Enter the Gungeon, Binding of Isaac style roguelike with a musical looping, kind of like Fruity Loop Studio, for those of you who may have used that in the past. But that is your weaponry. That is how you attack enemies. You can see the gameplay is going to be going on in the background while I'm talking about the game. And I've played about 2 hours of the game so far. About an hour of that was recorded, cut down a lot to make this video, and then a little bit more off camera. And essentially the whole point of the game, you can kind of see below the camera here at the bottom left, is this music track. You've got 4 different rows, and each of those rows gives you a different kind of weapon. And then you've got 8 notes in a measure. So essentially it's 4/4 time. You've got your upbeat and your downbeat. And on each of these beats, you can have a note that fires bullets. And depending upon how you lay things out determines how your weapons actually work. Now, you don't get to fire your weapons. This loop is constantly going no matter what. All you can do is point your mouse to aim where you want things to go. So the actual controls for the game are very straightforward. You have W, A, S, and D to move around. You have space to do a dodge, which is just a full invulnerability during the course of the dodge. And you move your mouse to aim where you want your shots to go. And it's so elegant in its simplicity, because that means that the complexity, since the controls and actual movement and basics of the game are so simple, is it opens up such a wonderful wealth of unique build options for how your run can go. Especially considering that as you build up these musical notes from defeating enemies, and in this case you just saw a boss kill, these notes, if you stack them, actually augment one another. So for example, yellow is only a little small explosion around the center of your unit, not usually particularly useful. However, you can see purple, for example, shoots out 3 shots in just sort of a cone in front of you. Well, if you put yellow and pink on the same column, on the same, upbeat or downbeat, then the purple bullets that you fire will have little explosions around them. And I haven't necessarily figured out all the intricacies of the game. There's quite a lot to discover, and the tutorial is fairly small, but there's not a lot to tutorialize. Like I said, the complexity comes from just playing the game, finding passives, finding upgrades. There's cool equipment you'll kind of see later on. You can also see the power note above my first measure here. In this run, I picked up laser. And so on the start of your measure, you fire 3 shots, or I guess it's 1 shot normally, and because I have pink on, it's firing 3 shots, and it does extra damage and it pierces enemies and all that. And there's a bunch of different power shots in the game. I think I picked up mines at one point. There's a split shot. You can see here at the start of a run, you've got some difficulty modifiers with a ton of unlocks. The game has a bunch of cool meta progression as well. And a bunch of different passives. Each of the different note types, I think, has a different stat associated with it that you can pick up via passives. Yellow, I believe, can stun. Green can poison. Blue can have crit strikes. And pink can slow, I believe it is. And by default, blue is your power shot, does the most damage. Green adds speed to the projectiles, so they move faster. Pink, like I said before, adds multiple shots, and yellow adds these explosions around things. You also, I mentioned equipment. I think I show at one point later on getting a sword that puts you into melee. I got one on a run off camera that once you fire your bullets, they spiral around you. So you lose a lot of range, but you gain a lot of damage if you're able to get an enemy hit multiple times. The enemy design in this game I feel like is really good. It starts off nice and easy. You have enemies that don't even fire shots, so your only goal is really just to not let them hit you. But then later on, it really turns into quite the bullet hell. There's a lot of dodging you need to do. You can see here the unlocks. A lot of the unlocks you get are more passives, more power notes, things like that. And honestly, like, I recorded an hour of gameplay. This is only like a 7-minute video. I cut out a lot of experimentation because I would just sit there and see like, okay, what happens with this set of passives and whatnot if I combine a green, blue, and pink. And as you pick up more notes, you want to experiment more and see what sort of patterns work for me. And you really get into this flow state, this cadence of, I recognize that this is my pattern. So you can even time your dodges knowing that, all right, I've got a downbeat coming here where I'm not going to be firing any shots. And so that's going to be my good chance to dodge. And there's a lot of mechanical depth here that honestly, like, you'll see, I think I put all of my deaths in the video. You'll see that I'm just really bad at action roguelikes, or really any game that requires more than just thinking. But overall, I ended up playing this game quite a bit last night after I did some recording, and that should tell you right off the bat how good I think the game is. There's a lot to discover, there's a lot to unlock, and I know that I'm going to play the game quite a bit. It'll probably be a regular occurrence on stream, and you know, hopefully this gives you all a good idea of what to expect from the game. You can see here I picked up a power shot that shoots out this star that will bounce between enemies, so you get a little bit of an extra chain. Yeah, I'm picking up the mines here so you can see how these work. So as it is right now, the game is on sale for 20% off for its 1.0 release. It's $11.19 US on Steam right now. I highly recommend checking it out. I've had a lot of fun with the game already, and I expect that I will be playing quite a bit more of it. It is very difficult. I died to this boss twice, and that's as far as I've gotten. I haven't seen anything past the second floor. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed the episode, and if you liked it, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check me out on twitch.tv/Runt9plays to see probably more of this game as well. But otherwise, until next time, I am Runt9, and I'll see you later.